Hi there, and welcome to a new episode. Today we have Marc Fenollosa on our podcast. He's the director of Wholesale for Mango. Mango is, as you might know, a really large fashion company. I see it every day as I walk to the office. And what I usually say is, Marc, introduce yourself, tell the people what you do currently, where you are in your life, so they have some context about you.
Thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm currently, since 2 years ago, I'm the director of Wholesale at Mango for America, Africa, Middle East, and Europe. Okay, heading that department, responsible of the P&L for Mango in the channel of the Wholesale. Okay, Mango has 3 channels. I would say the corporate stores, the online channel, and also the wholesale. Okay, so since more or less 2 years ago, I came back to Mango, this is the second, like my second cycle in Mango. So just to head that department, the wholesale, and transform it from I would say a department where we were just taking care of our partners to a department who are leading their business and working on a long-term relationship with them. So that's been mainly the goal for these 2 years in that project at Mango.
So obviously, my first question is, because I am not in a physical business, so I always wonder, what does somebody in wholesale do? How big is a team? I can imagine the teams that you manage are bigger than a normal digital business. How does the day-to-day look like, the process, and maybe also interesting from a startup perspective, like a smaller company, to look at a giant, well, Mango at this point is pretty much a giant, and kind of to see and tell us, how's your day-to-day look like?
So mainly the wholesale business, it's a B2B business. Means that from my side, from Mango side, we are selling the collection, we are selling the stock to our franchisees, who they have Mango stores, like Mango regular stores, but and they resale the garments and the clothes. Okay, so from my side, from Mango side, I'm creating value, I'm creating revenue, I'm creating profit from Mango side by selling those items, those garments to our franchisees. Okay, and that's from Mango side. But I'm also taking care of the sales of our franchisee from B to C, means from their stores, okay, to the final customers, in order to, because at the end, if our franchise business is doing really good, they're having a great sales, they're having great revenues and an amazing profit, of course they will come to me and they will buy me more garments, no? And they will make our business bigger and bigger. Okay, so from my side, what we are doing, we have different timings, no? First of all, we have the pre-season timing. Okay, so it's pre-season timing means that it's where we are preparing the collection, we are preparing the season. Okay, where we analyze what our franchise needs. Okay, what they need, because at the end we have the goal of our wholesale is that we are able to customize the strategies to our partners, to our franchises. Okay, means that Mango has an average strategy wherever it is over and it's far away from that strategy, because it's a South Hemisphere, because it's smaller shops like corners, like in department stores, because the customer is quite different, like in the Middle East, and you need to adapt a lot, no? Wherever it's far from the average and needs a customization strategy in terms of collection, in terms of shipments, in terms of price, wherever. Okay, that's the meaning of our department. Okay, that's why we work on that. That's why we need the partner, okay, to create value by their knowledge on the market. Okay, so from my side, first of all we have the pre-season, where we prepare the collection. We analyze the historical, what we prepare our forecast. Then we present to them the collection. Okay, how we present to them the collection? We have 4 showrooms per year. We organize showrooms in Barcelona where we present the collection. Okay, I would say we have 2 collections: autumn, winter, spring, summer. In each collection, we have 2 showrooms. Means that 4 showrooms per year. So I would say 1 showroom for autumn, 1 showroom for winter. Okay, and a part of this physical showroom, we have an e-commerce. We have an e-commerce B2B where they can buy online the collection. Okay, so first we have the pre-season, then pre-season preparing the collection, then we have the buying moment where they are buying the collection. Okay, remember that we have more than 3,000 models by season, means that 6,000 models per year, because we are a fast fashion company, means that we have novelty every month.
What do you mean with models, as in clothes?
Garments,
model?
like model colors.
Yeah,
like new garments. We have 6,000 models, new garments per year, means that we have novelty.
But how do you produce? Because normally you have a big fashion company, and then pretty much what you're explaining. But how do you produce 3,000? That's not one person producing it, I'm assuming.
No, we have. Because we are taking the collection from the Mango collection, like general collection. Okay. So what we are doing is of course we are working on the general collection from Mango collection, the same collection that we are sending to our corporate stores, and the same collection that we are sending to our online store. Okay, but it's true that we have a special team where we send to them our special requests, like for Arabic collection, for Middle East, or we have for our online partners we have a special collection as well. For our Latin American markets, we have special models as well.
So you're in between the fashion designers and the franchisees.
So exactly. So I would say that Mango has a buying team and design team, okay, and they are designing and buying the collection. I would say creating the collection for the 3 channels, okay. Then each of these 3 channels has to sell this collection. Means that I'm selling that collection to our franchisees. Okay.
How many franchisees does Mango have then?
We have more than 100 franchisees.
All over the world?
All over the world. We have more than 100. Because we have a lot of franchisees in Germany, where we do have a lot of we have representation in a lot of department stores, and in Germany, you know that it's there are a lot of department stores with a lot of family business. So each of department store used to be one franchise. Then we have also franchises in Middle East. We have franchisees in America, all around America, in more or less one franchisee per country, I would say. Okay, so we have a lot of franchisees. So what my responsibility is to sell Mango collection, general collection, of course, ask for special needs for my franchisees, and then sell the best mix of products and with the right quantities, with the right assortment to our franchises, and makes their business profitable and as much as they can, because as much as they sell, as much as they will buy to me.
But how can you influence how they run their business?
Because we have all the data, we have all daily data, we know everything. We manage our franchise stores as a corporate stores. Okay, we have the same data. We know what they're selling, how much they're selling, what they are not selling, of course, and then we are also traveling to those markets to know deeper the customers, to know deeper the markets, whatever. So there's a hard work preparing the assortments to our franchisees. Then there's a hard work presenting the assortments and the collection to our franchisees. Of course, they have the last word to say, okay, I will buy this, I will not buy this, but each time they are coming to the showroom, each time they are getting into this online e-commerce, they have a proposal from our side, whatever we are proposing, because we have no new garments like every week, so we need to work very close with them, And then once we start the season, we analyze how they are running the business, okay, their sales and their margin with the plan, with the forecast. We are following up, and of course we are reading and reacting all the time. If we have to do promotions, if we need new models that we didn't propose to them and they didn't buy it, if we need replenishments, if we need price reductions, if we need we need to change the stores because we have top families where they are in the bottom of the store and we need to put in the entrance, and that's how we are making their business more profitable. Of course, we know their P&Ls, we know their margins, wherever, and then we manage also their sales price, their sales strategy. That's how we make their business as much as profitable as possible.
So the franchisees are like small business owners, but with the benefit of the global team of Mango.
Exactly, that's the point. That's the value that we are adding also to the business.
But isn't it scary for them maybe to because you guys do online as well, right?
Yeah, you mean we have online partners and physical partners. I mean, like I would say offline stores.
But doesn't the online? Oh, you don't have online stores or partners that sell your stuff online?
We do. We do.
So then, how do the offline franchisees feel about possible online people stealing part of their revenue? Well, I'm assuming that's how they might feel.
Yeah, I mean, usually I would say in most of our countries, each franchisee has the right to sell their garments in the same country. Means that usually we don't have two different partners in the same country. Okay, actually, most probably it's not about. I mean, it's not regarding the question. But what happened with that crisis of coronavirus is that we have opened new online channels with the offline partners in those markets. Okay.
Oh, so you do that together with them?
Exactly. For example, in Ecuador, with our partner in Ecuador, we are now opening our online business in Ecuador. In Saudi Arabia, we are doing the same, no? So that's the way we work. We go together with the offline and the online, in order to take profit as well, because at the end we have the stock there. So it's usually much better to optimize that, and they have the knowledge. It's usually
Because that's actually
better.
You already covered it. That was going to be my next question. How does the coronavirus affect your fashion business then?
Well, I mean, I would lie if I say nothing happened, because
when did it really start? Like the coronavirus obviously had stages, but how were you guys prepared? I can imagine that was part of your team to kind of be aware of what was happening. When did you guys start seeing something? How did you start acting?
As we have partners in Taiwan and Vietnam and China, okay, we started with the coronavirus crisis in January. Okay, in January, because in Korea as well. So that crisis started in January and February on those countries. But I have to say that, as most of the people in Europe, nobody was expecting something like that. Okay,
right.
From more or less from one day to another one, the world was closed and most of our stores were closed, offline stores. Okay, and it was like one day one country was closing, then the other day the country was closing. So in 1 week, most of our countries were closing. We had the chance to keep selling by our online partners, even though I would say for the last 2 weeks of March, where the world was closing, even the online partners were selling not pretty much. Okay. So once this crisis started, what we did is, of course, we stopped our shipments, okay, in order to not push to our partners in terms of finance way, okay, because at the end, as they are closing the stores, what we did is we started thinking as a franchisee, okay? Like what do our franchise need, and what they need on that time is to reorganize the shipments, reorganize and the forecast. Like we did the forecast again. Like the first thing we did is stopping the shipments. Then we work on the forecast. Okay, when are we planning to reopen, and how are we planning to have the sales? Okay, we had the experience and we had the historical numbers from Vietnam, Korea, China, on those countries. Okay, so we weren't expecting to reopen before of May. Okay, so and we create different scenarios. Okay, once we had these scenarios and these forecasts, we started working on the buying. Okay, because we had an assortment pending to be sent here in Barcelona. Okay, that didn't work for this new reality. So we had to change everything. We had to change the orders, we had to change the assortment plan, we had to change the launching of new garments. Okay, so it's because what we couldn't do to our franchisees is to push them to send and make them pay to us. Okay, all this stock that we had pending to be sent, just because as Mango we need the money. Okay, because at the end, if we did that, at the end we were killing our franchisees. So we first see it and say, okay, we need to be very close to our franchisees on these difficult moments, help them on the negotiation with the landlords, supporting with that. We have to change all the assortment, we have to reforecast everything. Okay, and that's how we customize the strategy country by country. That's how we did it. And at the end, that's how we are doing it right now, because we don't have yet all countries reopened. So we are still on that.
So how big is your team then? Because that's like for every country and every franchisee moving
15,
that fast?
15 people.
15, right?
15.
Yeah.
15 here.
How do you do all of that with 15 people?
We create a template for the reforecast, okay, where we were saying, okay, reopening date and then the trend of sales that we were expecting once they open, and with that information, of course, we did a lot of conference calls with them and this, and that's how we create a new strategy. At the end, we just throw the old strategy and we create a new one.
So it's all possible. How big is Mango in total?
We have more than 2,000 stores and 2.2 billion US.
So, I mean team, how big is the team? Like, not franchisees, just like the Mango?
Mango, it's 4,000.
Wow.
4,000 in Spain, 10,000 in worldwide.
Crazy. Maybe a little bit more personal question, because we're already on the topic, but because you live in Barcelona, which, by the way, when Corona hit, we were there for a Mobile World Congress, and it was that week where everything started closing, so we were like in Spain still, but I had no idea that when I left Barcelona that it would be that like crazy there. How has it been from your perspective, just like as a person in Spain? Like, how is everything now? I heard that things are reopening. Yeah,
it's been it's crazy, because we are already in mid of the year, almost like not mid of the year, but we are almost in June, and it looks like the world was stopped in March. So I cannot believe we are already in June. So from this side, that's the first point. Then also, I have to say that the reality was even more impressive than the movies, because here, I mean, from one day to another one, the streets were empty. Everybody was at home, nobody was leaving their homes. So it was very shocking, for everyone. And even the number of deaths were increasing day by day, like 600, 700, 800, like 1,000, So we had few days where things were like not under control. You know that like nobody understood what was happening, and things were crazy. And from one side we had that situation, and from the other side we were working like 14 hours per day, just working, because at the end we had a shock for our business. So we need to customize everything. We need to redo wherever we spend like several weeks to do, doing it. So it was like it was like a shock, because we had two situations, very extreme situations, and it was like that. And those days we have reopened already, the shops here in Spain, not mall shops, street shops, and things are going back to normal. I have to say that people are already walking on the street, and things are going back to normal, but not yet like a new normal. But
are the mango shops open already?
Mango shops open last Monday. Yeah, last Monday, but street shops, not mall shops. Malls are still closed, and it will remain closed, I guess, for a couple of weeks more here in Spain.
Wow. And I'm in the Netherlands right now, so I was looking at the statistics from Spain, and I was just shocked at how, at one point, it started rising like Italy. Mm-hmm. And how is it from your perspective? Why do you think it happened so crazily?
Well, I think here in Spain, we were laughing at, it sounds not very polite, but we were laughing at the Italians when they were closing the country.
I think most of the countries were doing that very aggressively.
Exactly. We had a guy in our team. It's a Chinese guy, Fihan. They spent 2 weeks in January in China, and he was in quarantine there. And when he came back, he was 2 weeks at home as well, because of the quarantine and this, but. Nobody, we are used to have happy endings here in Europe. Nobody trusts on the bad endings, on the worst scenarios. We are used to that. We are used to all movies are we are always winning. Nobody trusts on the bad endings, and so I think here it happened. Always the worst scenario with the coronavirus, no? So it was like we were watching the news in China, and we were laughing at the Chinese. They were building up a hospital in 1 week, and we were all resending the videos on WhatsApp and saying, wow, look at the Chinese, they are amazing. But nobody was afraid of the coronavirus, no? And then even when the coronavirus started in Italy, nobody was afraid of that, nobody was afraid of that. And we were saying look at the Italians, they are just running away from Milano and Rome to the south, and and suddenly from one day to another one, the lockdown started, and we were like shocked, we were not ready for that, I would say.
Pretty much it was just the chill attitude that I'm used to around Spain, and then nobody took it seriously, and that's why.
Yeah, and I think so. Nobody took it seriously at the beginning. At the end, our mistake was not to take care of ourselves before. Okay, just giving you an example, we didn't have masks enough in Spain.
How is the whole mask discussion happening? Because right now in the Netherlands, they are forcing it on the public transport, but. Mm-hmm. I was walking, I remember, and people literally on the public transport right now do not have the masks, and then because it's obligatory from the 1st of June on, so right now nobody's wearing it, and then we kind of expect on the 1st of June people will be wearing it, but it's I thought it would be so easy, like, oh, just wear a mask and then protect others, because they're already doing it in Asia, so it's not like a new thing for the human race. But I never expected that so many people would be against it. How is it in Spain?
Yeah. Well, in Spain, the mask issue, it's been a fight, because even population was pushing the government to make it obligatory. Okay, but imagine that the government was saying no, it's not obligatory. it's just recommendable, but just because they didn't have enough masks for all the populations,
Right.
you know. So at the end, it was crazy, and even the the Catalan government, the Madrid government, this province and governments in Spain, they were pushing the central and the Spanish government to make the mask like a must.
Yeah.
And it's like that. But here in Spain, we have the politic issue, like we are fighting all the time. Before we used to fight like Catalans and like Spanish, and now there's a fight between the Madrid government and Spanish government, because the Madrid government wants to be reopened and wants to reopen all the business, and Spanish central government are telling them, no, you cannot yet, you have to wait one more week, and they're fighting, and people are on the street just shouting and asking to the government to let them reopen the business and this, so
Wow.
It's crazy because like 1 month ago we had 1,000 deaths per day. Even Madrid was collapsed, and just in 4 or 5 weeks they're pushing to reopen everything, like nothing happened and we forgot like everything.
It's crazy.
It's we are, I don't know if it's like we are a bit crazy in Spain, but we had a lot of passion and we live like that, it's.
Well, it sounds a lot like what's happening in America as well.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. Yeah.
Cool. Sorry.
Oh, you see, also in Brazil they are. Also
Yeah?
in Brazil they are.
Brazil. I saw Brazil and Russia are going crazy up right now. But yeah, anyways.
And it's amazing.
But we went a bit off topic there. So okay, so let's go back to the mango stuff. So obviously everything you're explaining sounds super complicated. I've only recently started like scaling startup funding event and everything, and I'm experiencing this multiple country type of scenario, and one of the things that kind of is hard for me to deal. Well, what I'm trying to learn a lot is the languages, but also the mentality and everything of dealing with this whole thing. And obviously, you've had a career leading up to Mango. So, kind of, if you look back at your career, what do you think were the biggest learning lessons for you to be able to deal with global markets?
Wow. That's a good one.
Or maybe where did it all start?
Yeah, I'll tell you a story, and I will tell you also the learnings, because I had a lot of learnings, a lot of failures. I failed a lot, so each time I fail, I learn even more than when I succeed. So I started on Mango 10 years ago. Okay, when I finished my degree, my college. I would say my learning started like my last year of college, when I started working at Sony. Okay, Sony, the Japanese company, for 6 months as a trainee. That was my first job. When I started learning, I was a marketing job, so I was doing forecasts wherever, and I started learning how to be at the office and how to manage myself at the office for the first time. No, that was my first job. Then I left for 6 months to New Orleans.
What did you do at Sony? Because I saw you were a
Sony,
brand manager. What does that mean?
In Sony I was the trainee. It was like an internship for marketing. Okay, so I was doing the forecast of sales and that stuff. So that was my first job, and I had my first boss. So it was just a 4 hours per day job, but that was my first like formal job. Then I left for 6 months as an exchange program with my college here in Spain. I spent 6 months in New Orleans in the US, which I think it was my first huge experience. I opened my mind a lot, and most probably my life changed with that experience of 6 months there.
Why? What happened?
It's I felt my career, it's been better or not, depends on each point of view, but it has happened some things that I didn't choose, okay, like going to New Orleans. I didn't know even. I didn't know. I wanted to go to Singapore. I wanted to go, those fashion cities where everybody wanted to go to just travel around to discover Asia, and I wanted to go to Bangkok. But I did a list, okay, and in my list was New Orleans, and I was sent to New Orleans. I didn't even know where was New Orleans, and then nowadays it's one of my favorite cities. I've been there 4 or 5 times. So it's one of my. So it's something that I didn't choose, but I really enjoy it, and this is something I've learned a lot. Like sometimes there are chances that you don't create to them, or maybe you don't create them, or you don't expect them, but you have to use them. You have to go for them. You have to you have to enjoy them a lot and take profit from them. No, that was my first learning, because I spent the second half of the year, so I lived there, the Mardi Gras, which is one of the most amazing carnivals in the world. So I was 21, amazing, no? You cannot imagine. So then I came back from. Then also when I left to the US, I was thinking on living on the US dream, living on the US. But once I spent 6 months there, I realized that how amazing is Europe, and how I love living in Europe, no? So
but why? What was the
because everything I feel living in Europe, everything is closer. You don't need a car for everything. I was 21, so I had a lot of things in my mind. So I realized what is the real America and what you have there, no? And the way they're living, it's very, very different than in Europe. So I spent the 6 months there, and then I came back and I started working at Mango. But how did I started working at Mango? Is they called me because they needed a guy for the Middle East market as a product manager junior. Okay, I was 21. I was in July or August, so I had the interview there, and most probably I started in Mango because they needed a guy, because of the culture issue with the Middle East. I never planned to work at retail. I don't know. I never planned to work because in my college they teach me to work as a consultant, as a like in the food market, like a PepsiCo and those kind of brands. I never thought about working at Mango. It was not in my mind, even though I liked fashion and this, but as a hobby. So I started working at Mango, and then I had the first shock of reality, because in Mango you have a culture of very strict, okay, very competitive, where nobody is spending time having a coffee on the cafeteria, on the bar. Everybody's going to the bar, just taking the coffees and going back to the table. You have to be 9 a.m., 9 o'clock. Like you cannot be late. It's a very competitive, and it was a shock for me. So I had to learn that. At the first days, nobody's listening music there, because you need to listen the phone if someone from the stores are calling, you cannot, if the owner see your screen and you are on Google doing or reading the newspapers, you can be in trouble. So it's a very strict culture. So I learned that culture from Mango at the beginning. It's also a culture where the company depends a lot on the people, depends on the employees, not on the systems. No, that's so people are key at Mango. That was my first learning, and that's amazing for as a first job, because you learn about everything. You have to do a lot of things. Okay, so if you want the things happen, you have to do them. You have to go. You have to call that guy. You have to push that guy. You have to go to another office. So I learned about doing all those things, and also I learned about being focused. I learned about being focused and working under pressure, which was, I would say, my first learnings in Mango.
How did you learn to be focused then? What happened?
I will never forget my first experience, my first boss on Mango. That after 3-4 months there, and I will never forget, because that was a Friday. That Friday I was traveling to Amsterdam for the weekend. so So I was very exciting about, because I still had that passion from the college, where you have a lot of plans and you do a lot of plans with friends. So I was traveling to Amsterdam with my friends of college, so that was very excited. So that Friday, the boss called me and we went to the bar. We had a coffee and he told me, he pushed me to work more. He told me, do you really want to be here? Do you really want to work here at Mango? You need to be in charge of the things you are doing. Okay, you are not a trainer. You are not a trainee. You have to be responsible of what you are doing. You need to be serious. Okay, you have responsibilities. You need to go for that. So that was my first shock of reality. Like I left to Amsterdam very depressed and like, oh wow, maybe they want to fire me or something like this. I'm not giving to them what they're expecting from me. So since next Monday, I was arriving to the office like 30 minutes before, and I was leaving like 1 hour later, putting all my effort, and that's how I learned like a different way of working. And with that boss, his name is Joan. I was not talking. We were not talking because he was not trusting on me. That's why he had that conversation with me. And in 1 month, I could completely change that situation, and we are now very good friends. So I was very close to be fired, and just being focused on the important things, being at the office like early, and just taking care of my responsibilities. If I was not finished the work, I kept working at home. I was a kid.
It sounds like, maybe it's a bit critical, but it sounds like such a fear-infested culture. Then, if you compare that to like a Google or something, like any of the Silicon Valley companies where people listen to music and all that stuff. Like how did you deal with that?
It is like that, but I was not used to anything else. So I was just growing up. So for me it was good in terms of I really learned from that culture, like responsible culture. Then of course Mango has changed a lot from 10 years to now.
Yeah.
It has changed a lot, and those things are not happening now. Okay, but it used to be a very result focused and result oriented company. Okay, even the managers were more oriented on the results than on leadership and managing people.
Really?
Okay, yeah.
But did the people then stay very long in those days? Obviously, it's 10 years ago.
People used to stay a lot because you were learning a lot of things, and for us was not weird, and the results were good, and of course, and also 10 years ago. The world was different, I would say. No, we were not discussing about working from home. The world was different. It wasn't another way of thinking, another mindset.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit old. I have to recognize that. But for me, and then also it depends on the manager that you have. But of course, if you are 21 and you are not, and your manager. You look not focused on, and you are not responsible on, and he cannot trust you, and
Yeah, at the same time, I also kind of get it. It's like a harsh boot camp that just teaches you discipline, focus, maybe not in the best of ways, but at the end of the day, the lesson gets through. Obviously, still very harsh, but I guess that's what you mean with you started learning how to focus and how to get things done.
Yeah, but it's also just one part of the game. Then 5 years, I spent 5 years in Mango. When I grew up from junior product manager to a senior product manager, then in 2015, like 5 years ago, after 5 years in Mango, I had the chance to move to Latin America, to another company. Okay, so and that's a good one. That's a funny story because I remember that I was at home just watching the TV on the sofa with my girlfriend. I received a message from LinkedIn from a headhunter in Spain saying, I have an offer from a company in Buenos Aires in Latin America. It's a fashion company in Latin America, accessories company. they want to hire someone from Mango or Zara because they know about fast fashion. I think your profile matches with the
Yeah.
position that they are looking for. Would you mind to have an interview, personal interview? So I was like, I had that feeling, like that's my time. That's the right one,
Yeah.
So like in 2 days, I went to the interview. It was in Barcelona in an office. It was an interview at 8 in the morning. So I just went there, and I was very stressed because I had to be at the office at 9, and it takes like 20-30 minutes to go to the office, no? So, and I didn't do a very good interview. I had to say that. I had to recognize I didn't do a very good interview. So I was in the morning, so a couple of hours after doing the interview, the headhunter called me, and she told me, "I'm sorry, Marc, but your profile, it's not matching with the company needs. The company has refused your profile." And I was like, okay, how the company has refused my profile if it's 6 in the morning, 6 a.m. in Buenos Aires, I had that, so, but she told me like that. She didn't want me to tell me, like, I have considered that your profile doesn't match. But she told me like, no, the company. So I was like, no, please, let me talk to the company. I think my profile matched perfectly with whatever they need, blah, 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 blah. But she told me, no, I'm sorry, you cannot pass to the next level. So I was like, I really thought that position was made for me, So I remember that I had a friend from 2 years ago when I traveled to Philippines. So I made a friend, an Argentinian friend. Okay, she's a designer. So I contact her like by Facebook. I remember. Do you know that company? Blah 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 blah. What do you think about the company? And she told me, yeah, it's a very famous company in Argentina. I have a very good friend working on it, working in the company. So give me your CV and I will forward to her. So I sent to her my CV. She forwarded to the friend, and I was lucky because that friend, she was working with one of the founders. So so my CV arrived straight to the founder. So I was I think December 31st, something like this. I received a call, and it was one of the founders calling to me saying, "Are you Marc?" I was like, "Yes, I'm Marc." So we just received your CV, and I would like to organize an interview. Blah, blah, blah. So, and then on January 6th, I had the interview with them, and then I started, of course, a process about 3-4 months, where I was doing a lot of interviews, a lot of calls. Because there are 3 founders, so with one founder, with another one, then with the manager of, and they were looking for a manager of planning. Okay, but they didn't know how to organize it, so that's why I did a lot of interviews. So finally, I was hired. I traveled to Argentina with my girlfriend, my wife today, and we spent there 1 week. They invite to us, and we said yes, of course, and we moved to Argentina. So first thing I learned is that sometimes you have to take the chances that they come to you, and you have to go for them 100%, especially when you have that feeling that it's your time, it's their chance, So then I was 26. I was so young on those days, like 5 years ago, 26, 27. And I was in the, I was in the, like with the board. I was working on the board. They didn't even know how old I was.
Wait, so this is the BlueStar group company?
Yeah, this is the BlueStar company.
How big was it? Because it sounds like it wasn't super big yet.
It wasn't super big. It was 650 stores on those days. I would say 250 million euros turnover per year.
I mean, that's still pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was coming from Mango, so it's like 2,000 compared with 200 million, but it is really big, So for me, it was it was a good promotion, and it was a chance to really feel being responsible of the company, because I started as a manager of the planning, creating a new team of planning, because they told me they told me I was replacing one of the founders, okay, Mariana, she was in charge of planning. So I just moved to Argentina to replace her and to evolve the planning system, and because they wanted to be a fast fashion company. They told me, we want to be a fast fashion company.
But what were they before that?
They were a fashion company, but they wanted to be a fast fashion company, means that they wanted to reorganize the company in order to be more reactive, to improve the accuracy of their garments. Okay,
but
they
so
used to buy.
What's the difference? What's like a normal fashion company?
Yeah, so a normal fashion company would be like Gap, for example, where they have an initial collection and they don't change so much the collection since the beginning till the end. Okay,
of the year.
They don't change that. Of the season. I would say two seasons per year. Okay, spring, summer, and autumn, winter. So they don't introduce so much new garments, okay, into the season. Okay, so the collection that they have once they start the season, it's pretty much the same when they finish the season. Okay, but fast fashion companies like Zara or Mango, that they introduced a collection at the beginning, but every week or every month they are refreshing the stores, and after the life cycle of the garments, it's only 1 month. Okay,
but
so
what's the benefit of doing such a kind of crazy thing?
You create, I would say, you create a need, because you are selling fashion garments. So, sorry. So fashion is changing all the time, and customers, they want new things. So that's a way of, by introducing new garments, it's a way of keeping the sales up.
So it's just keeping people
instead of just launching a collection and see how and it's a way of keeping the sales up by introducing novelty. It's a way of working with less working capital because you don't need that much stock at the beginning. You are introducing new stock. Okay, it's a way, but to work like that, you need to be very reactive of what's happening in the store. You need to read very well what's happening in the store. You need also to have the tools to be very fast in order to see what's going on in the store. Okay, red is selling very good, so I need dresses in red in 3-4 weeks. So you need to have a strategy with your suppliers, because you cannot work with 6 months suppliers, 6 months time suppliers, so so you need to structure your company to work like that. Okay,
so it's pretty much like A/B split testing of web pages, but you're doing it with clothes. So if you see the red clothing sell, 2 weeks later there's going to be more red clothing in the store.
Exactly. At the end, if you are a fashion company, if you're a basic company like Gap, okay, you will not work like that, because the basic ones are selling always pretty much the same. But if you are a fashion company and you have a part of your collection which is fashion, sometimes you will be successful with your collection, and sometimes you will not. So it's about being very reactive. If you are successful, doing more about that. Okay, designing more models like that. If you are not successful and you fail with that models, you need to decrease the prices. You need to do small sales, in order to liquidate those items.
But it sounds to me like almost every fashion company should be doing that, because through split test, unless you're an ultra luxe fashion company, but
exactly.
Why doesn't a Gap do something like that? What are the negatives of being a fast fashion company?
The negatives are that your margin in percentage are going to be lower, because you need to produce closer. Means that it's always cheaper in China than in Turkey. It's always cheaper in China than in Morocco. It's always cheaper than in Spain, or it's always cheaper to have your suppliers wherever it's cheaper, and then sending your garments by sea. Okay, but if you want to play that game, you need to find your balance. You need to find which garments you're going to produce them in China, and you're going to send them by boat, and which garments you're going to produce them for example, if you are selling in Argentina, which ones you want to produce in Argentina. If you want to have your own suppliers, means that you have exclusive suppliers to have the capacity to produce more and more and more. You need to, and also how you are taking the decisions. Which tools are you using? No, of course, if you are following daily the reality in the stores, what you are selling, what you are not selling, what's missing, what's not missing. At the end, it's about following up what you are sending in the stores. It's saying to the stores, and comparing your sales with your plan.
Yeah.
So if you are above the plan, it means that you need more of that. If you are below the plan, it means that you need to reduce price, you need to react. So it's about a read and react culture. I would prefer to say that fast fashion, it's a read and react culture in order to have the best assortment on the best timing, and the best price and everything.
So being a fast fashion company is pretty much just like a game of quantity. You have to be huge to kind of get your margins out.
Of course, you have to be huge, and I would say it's about being it's about improving the accuracy, because if your initial margin is going to be lower, but if your accuracy is high, you won't need a lot of sales, because
can a startup or like, is there some tech or something that can be a fast fashion company? Because it almost sounds to me like if there's a fashion designer interested in technology or something like that, like she or he will not be able to create like a fast fashion company. It's almost going to be impossible.
No, but I mean, there are a lot of tools that can help a lot on that, because at the end, if you have the chance with all the big data that these retail companies have to read what's going on what's the need in the stores, and you can create new products with that variables like color, shape, print, size, wherever you can spread each product on those variables, and you with those variables you can create new items, for example. Then you can have a tool that it's helping a lot the designers on focus them how they can design. Or another thing is how you can help the buyers on negotiate the cost of the garments, because at the end it's about being fast, but it's about also being very efficient. And something we work on is on focusing all the teams on whenever we wanted them to focus. For example, a designer, if they have to design, they need to know what's going on in the stores, what's being successful or not. So if you give them the right information and you put them in the right way they can work, you are doing their life easier. And also, you are creating a system where it doesn't depend that much on people, because at the end you're putting all the information in the right way in their hands, which for me it's key in that business if you want to be fast and if you want to be efficient. But I'm not saying this is useful only for fashion, because I think this is useful for all business.
Yeah, it sounds like marketing analysis. Yeah. So you're pretty much just, so let's say a small company or designer wants to be like the next Zara or Mango or something like that. So then technically what they can do is, what you're saying is just create the system that lays out the colors, all the variables like colors, shape of the dress, prints, and then you have, it's like a Tesla car or something like that. You can only have like 3 different variables, and then you change between them, and then you just track like crazy every variable, and then you make like the dresses or the t-shirts or the whatever according to those variables. And then so pretty much you either need a super analytical person with a design sense, or you just need like 2 co-founders, one who's super analytical and one who's the designer, and then mixing them together, and then you pretty much can start a fast fashion company.
Exactly. And from our side, we focused on giving them the information in the right way. I mean, when you are a designer, you don't want to. I didn't want that the designers were looking at the information and trying to see what was going on, what was selling the most, whatever. No, I was trying to give them like the key information to take the right decisions. Of course, there's they were doing an amazing and creative job, okay. Yeah. But with those key information, we were helping them to do the right designs, and that was happening with the designers, that was happening with the merchandisers, that they were deciding the quantities, the assortment, decide for each market, for each store. So and that was a challenge because we were creating. We had in Argentina, in BlueStar Group, we had 2 accessories brand, okay. One like for teenagers and the other one for, I would say, mid-age woman, okay, like Farfois, something like this. So, and we used to have 10,000 new items per year for each brand, okay.
Whoa.
Because we had jewelry, bijou, we had a scarf, we had bags, we had wallets, so we had all types of accessories, and we were located in small shops, I would say 80 square meters. So you needed to be very efficient with the way you were displaying everything, with the way you were creating the assortment, and you had that assortment in 4 countries. We were in Argentina, in Peru, in Chile, and in Mexico, and now in Brazil. So,
but then, quick question: when you're playing this fast fashion game, don't you lose like your own style? Because when you're doing that quantity, how can you have a style?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think the key is to not lose your DNA.
And what does that mean?
Yeah, means that you need to be very strong on knowing what your customer is and the DNA of the brand, okay? Something that has happened in a lot of brands, and it happens to us as well in Argentina, and it happened to Mango as well, is when you're playing the fast fashion game, it's easy to lose your DNA and to move from one customer to another one.
Yeah.
And someday you are, I would say, more a 35 customer. You're creating a collection for 35 sophisticated customer, and you move to a 25 because you want to be focused. Sometimes you lose your north. You lose your DNA, and this is something that it happens to us in Argentina, and we realize that we need to be very strong on our DNA and not lose the north on that, because at the end, it's true that because you can confuse the customers and you can lose some customers just because you haven't lost your north.
Yeah, they wouldn't know what to expect when they walk into the store.
Exactly.
So you go to Argentina, you arrive, and what happens? Like, do they give you a team right away? Do you just take over a position?
Yeah, I started with a team. It was an 8-people team. The planning, they were very open-minded with, and I was a little bit stressing for me because I didn't know exactly what I was going to do in Argentina. So I had the project, I had all this information, but I didn't know what I was going to do exactly in Argentina. So my daily task on this, So once I started, my challenge was to developing the planning team since they started with the founder, like I would say 4, 5, 6 months ago, okay, on creating, because the point was that the design team was in Buenos Aires, but all the buyers team, the merchandisers, were located in the different markets, in Mexico, in Chile, in Peru, So the design team was creating the collection, and then they were sending pictures to Mexico, pictures to Chile, pictures to do the buyings and So the same person, the same team that they were doing the buyings, they were creating the planning. Okay, so they were creating the planning and buying. So we say, no, we need to create a planning team very, very close to a design team in order to, work close and together and align the collection on the planning and the forecast on the needs of the markets. So that was the first sign. But then we realized that those merchandisers that were in the markets, they were buying the garments and putting the quantities and the prices using just one picture. So how come, and then they were deciding the prices, they were deciding the quantities without touching the garments and with less information than the final customer. Okay, so we had a lot of troubles because there were some garments that were too cheap or some garments that were too expensive just because they didn't realize about the size, about the how big it is, the perception, the real perception, and also because the system was created on the garments were received in Mexico, in Chile, wherever. They were sent to the office in order to check it and touch it and this and readjust the quantities. So we were spending 10 days or 2 weeks more just because the process was not very efficient. Okay, so I was like, okay, if we want to be fast fashion and we want to be fast, first of all, we need and then also once we wanted to react, it's difficult to react if you have your teams far away from the design, from the one who is in touch of the suppliers and from the one who is in charge of the collection. So we said, okay, so we present a plan of centralizing and moving the merchandisers team from the markets to the headquarters. So we create, apart from the planning team, we create a product managers or a merchandisers team. We create an allocation team, okay, and we create a pricing team, okay. Because another thing that happened is that the level and the profiles, the type of profiles that we had in those 4 markets were completely different. We were not using synergies. We were not synergies. We were not using that. So one team was working with one tools and using one theories. Another team was working on another one. Also the structures were different. One team in Mexico, for example, were maybe 20 people, and in Chile were 5 people. So what we did is we create those teams in the headquarters in Argentina. Okay.
So everybody from every country had to go to.
No. We sent. What we did is we sent 2 or 3 people from the markets. We send them to the headquarters in Argentina. Okay. So for example, a couple of girls from Chile came to Buenos Aires. A couple of girls from Peru came to Buenos Aires. From Mexico as well. Okay. We relocate the rest of the team, or we had to. They didn't continue with us, and we create this new team in Buenos Aires. Okay, but of course we spent a lot of time thinking. Okay, how many people do we need? How are we gonna organize them? Which tools? So it was like a new beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, how are we gonna work because weekly meetings, sales meeting on Mondays. How are we gonna work the sales meeting? What's how it's going to be the order of the day? We create new reports. Okay, we need a report guy, which was Guido. He was my right hand. And we create a new report to follow up the sale and everything. So it's like we built up not a new company but a new system of working in order to be more reactive, in order to be faster.
So how many people were you hiring?
40.
And the founders were aware when they were onboarding you that this drastic, just like that, 40 people joining?
No. We didn't hire 40 people, but the team that we create was 40 people because we collect the team from the Argentina team, these Argentina merchandisers that were already in the same office. Were located in different site, but we collect.
You
them
just
from
brought
the
them
people
all together from existing teams, and then you just gave them all these roles.
Exactly, and plus the team that we brought from those markets, and then of course we need to hire someone. But I would say that the team was 40 people team, but before restructuring everything. If I have to calculate it with the team in Mexico, the team we had in Mexico, the team we had in Chile, it used to be 70 people. So we reduced and we optimized pretty much that team, you know, because it used to be 70 people if you calculate the team that you had in Mexico plus the team you had in Peru, in Chile, blah, blah, blah. They were around 70 people. But the new team that we created was around 40 people. So we tried
and
to
you
be
were
very
managing
efficient.
all of them?
Yes, I did.
So how do you manage that many people, and how do you get that down from 70 to 40 in a way without losing team morale?
Yeah, well, actually, most probably I would say that's one of my that's the first time, or not the first time, but the first year and a half in Argentina was very successful. Results were amazing, and we created the new team. You know, everybody was amazed, like very happy. You know, blah blah blah. So we were on the right side of the story. But after 1 year and a half, I mean, I failed by managing 40 people. I didn't know how to do it. Nobody teach me, and I hadn't learned it before, because you know in Mango I was managing 3 people, but I was not even deciding about their salaries, because you know my boss was deciding the salaries. So I learned, and then also I moved from a company in Mango who was very results orientative, like very oriented, or focused on the results, not that much on the leadership. Then in Argentina, the company in Argentina was very focused on the leadership. You know, they have this surveys year after year where all your team is evaluating you, and I failed. I mean, like I lost key players because I didn't know how to manage them. I was acting not properly. Like I was close. I mean, I had a closed mind. I was not close to them. I was not. You know, I was working in an office with the door closed. I mean, because that was the learning I had from the bosses in Mango, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I didn't have the experience, and that was my biggest.
Do you have a story to share where you knew, like, a moment happened and then you knew, like, this is it, I need to change it?
The point is that most probably I was not the best leader because I was far away of my team. Because as I was young, I mean, I was much younger than them. You know, I mean, I had people. Most probably, I was 26, 27. So, and the average age of my team was 32, 31. So I was so young, and I had a lot of pressure. It was the first time in my life that I was feeling that pressure, which I like it, and it was very motivating for me. But I didn't act like a real like I am, you know. I was not acting like I am, like close to people, like normal, like I am right now with you. I was trying to be far from my team in order to, you know,
keep the hierarchy.
You know, exactly. I don't know. Most probably because I didn't feel safe, or I didn't feel secure, or I don't know. You know, so, or because most probably because I thought that was the right way to act, you know, to be very strict, you know, with that culture and this. So when the results are positive, nobody see that, you know, nobody see that you are changing the company, you are leading a new era or new cycle or wherever. You are making a lot of money to the company, you know, earn a lot of money to the company. But once the results started going, you know,
down
below the plan, and you were not reaching the plan, you were not reaching the goals, that's when I realized that I was failing, you know. I failed. I failed. And then I would say that the last 3-4 months of the 2017 were the worst 3-4 months of my life. I felt completely alone. I felt like I was not handling. I was not doing my. I mean, I was not focused. You know, and I was spending 14, 15 hours per day working. I mean, and at the end, in December of that year, 2017, as every year we flew to Barcelona to spend the holidays, the Christmas holidays.
Right.
And I was thinking, and I was like, and I realized that I was a leadership. My issue was with the leadership, that I need to be more close to them. I need to be one of them, I need to be one of them. I need to be myself, like normal one, And then I remember that I came back. It was January 6th or 7th or 8th. I had a meeting with my team, and I said I would like to apologize because I failed. And also I lost 2 key players of my team. I remember, because I didn't know how to make them progress and how to make them grow. I was just focusing like, okay, you are good doing this. Okay, I was not thinking on how you can grow and like a career plan, So that was also my mistake. So I remember when I came back from Spain, I had that idea very clear, like, okay, sorry guys, I failed because I didn't act properly. I was not a good leader with you. I told them what I thought. I asked them, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think on this? And we were very agree with that.
What did the team say?
They told me, yeah, Marc, because you are completely different. You are very, very different than what you are trying to be with us. So they were just giving you an idea, but I was never having lunch with them, because I thought that, I don't know, I thought it was not my role, or was not the thing I had to do. I was never having beers with them, so I didn't know them. That was probably my mistake. So I started to change. I started to be myself. I just started to be myself. I just started to spend a lot of time with them, talking with them, and results changed a lot. Those 2 key players that I had in the team, I called them. I had a coffee I had a beer with them. I convinced them to come back to the office, to come back to my team. Okay, the 2 of them, I remember, which for me was most probably made me so happy, because I had the feeling that I felt the company as well, and then
how did the founders did they tell you something about you acting that way?
Yeah, because the founders know me as I am, okay, but they realized, and they really, we had an amazing relationship. Actually, we have an amazing relationship, and they told me, and when we realized about this issue with the leadership, we both recognized it, and they told me, you have to improve, you have to learn. We'll put you a coach, and this and that. Finally, they didn't put it a coach to me, but I started studying a lot. I started doing a lot of classes. I started doing, a coaching class that I paid by myself.
What did you study? Obviously, I've also sometimes dealt with wanting to learn more leadership, or we have team leaders, and I did not know what to get. What did you study?
I started doing a coach, coach classes, like leader as a coach or something like this. Was a course like that, where they were teaching you how to be a boss, but also a coach, not with questions, and how to lead the talks with your team in order to make them feel more comfortable, or to give them, instead of pushing them to something with, like a coach, to coach to them, because I feel like I really wanted to learn more about that, and to
where did practice. You find the course?
I was in one of business school in Argentina. IAE is one of the best business schools. So yeah, I was, and then also I started reading again, books about business, how to communicate in public, I realized that I was also so focused on the daily work, so I needed to read more about. I need to have more the global picture. I need to read more about a new business, new ways of work. What's agile? This new way of working named agile. I did a lot of courses of speech, speaking public, all these things. So I started to learning a lot again, and it was like a fresh air for me as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on the person and each one is different, no? But for me, I had an amazing talk with my team, very, very honest team, very honest talk where I talked to them wherever I had in my heart and in my mind, like I failed because of this. What do you think? And they agree with me. And since that day, I think we changed completely the relationship. I felt very comfortable in the office with them. I felt one of them. Then I started learning a lot again with different courses, different reading books, articles, and that changed. I think that changed everything. And with the partners, with the founders, it was very interesting because they told me, like, they realized that I had a challenge with the leadership, but they really understood it. Like, you are so young, but they told me, you are one of us because the way you are. Like, we really were very similar. Like, we are passionate, we are very responsible, we think as an owners, those things, we were completely aligned, So they told me that you just need to learn how to you just need to learn how to do, because at the beginning, most probably they thought that I learned already that those things about leadership in Mango or wherever, or because of the results were doing very good, they didn't think about that. But and then I understood how important is leadership in business, no? And to get there, which I think it's key. I'm pretty sure it's key. So
how were your results after this whole change? Like,
they changed completely the results. Yes, because at the end, when you have crisis and when you are not reaching the results, if depending on the way you are leading your team and depending on your leadership, most probably you will be able to turn around the results or not. Because when you are managing a team of 40 people, you depend 100% on your team. You depend 100% on the team. So the way you are managing them, it will make the difference. Like, and the way you are, the type of profiles you have, it will make the difference completely. So yeah, I remember the last part of 2017, like, very dark, and I remember the first part of 2018, like, with a lot of light. Sometimes your mind reminds those moments like very different. So yeah, and then by mid of 2018, that's when I received the call from Mango that they proposed me to come back after 3 years in Argentina. And
why do they suddenly call you?
Well, because when I left Mango, it's true that one of the directors, like one of the members of the board, told me that you will come back to Mango because you are part of Mango. You have the DNA of Mango. So I totally understand that you are going abroad. You are going to Argentina. You will learn a lot, but most probably one day I will call you, no? And then, sometimes we were chatting. How are you? And then they call me and they explain me of course, I felt Mango like in my blood, since even when I left Mango is, I'm part of Mango, and I don't know how to say that, but I felt that I grew up in Mango. And
but after you learned everything in this new company, the shift of culture, how important it was, didn't you feel like you didn't want to go back to something that pretty much made it bad for you?
Yeah. I was most probably the decision of coming back to Spain was very, very difficult because it's true that my wife wanted to come back or wanted to. It was not about coming back to Spain or not, but it was about being more close to Barcelona. Okay, we were already planning to have kids with my wife, so when I had the chance to come back to Mango, it was hard to decide because I had an amazing opportunity in Argentina with an amazing conditions and salary, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But then I also had the chance to come back to Mango, where Mango was in a bad moment on those days, after 3 years in a row with losses. They were trying to change everything. So, I felt that was a good moment also to come back. But I didn't know what to decide. Then I spoke with my coach, my coach in the one in Argentina. I started with her like a couple of months ago. So, but I had a lot of confidence with her, and I asked her like, I don't know what to do. I explained everything. Nobody knows. Just my wife knew, of course, no. But nobody knew anything about this chance to come back. And I explained everything, and she told me that decision is always taken by how it depends on where you see yourself with your family and your kids. Okay, she told me, where do you see yourself and your family with your kids? Here or in Barcelona? No? So, or in Europe, I would say. So on that moment, I realized that, that it was time to come back. Because also, it was like the results were good again. The relationship with the team was amazing. Those two key players already came back to the team. So it was like I turned around the situation, and I felt like, okay, now I can leave. I will leave. I will leave I will leave Argentina. I will leave the company, but in a much better moment than 6-8 months ago. No, which for me was also very happy. Because in the end, nobody wants to. I mean, most probably, I wouldn't leave the company on a bad situation.
Right.
I wouldn't feel like well.
So before we go back then to the Mango part, so I just want to dive deeper a little bit into the management of 40 people at such a young age. So, I mean, it's pretty much crazy. How do you deal with it? Do you sit down with? Obviously, I'm talking maybe more about that part of 2018 when the team is turning around and people are feeling happy. So what were you actually doing, like practical things? Were you sitting one-on-one? Did you introduce like Thursday beers? Like what were you doing like exactly? Do you have some practical tips?
Yeah, and what I did wrong is I was very exigent. Like I was pushing them a lot, and I was asking them like to be perfect, okay, and without thinking on their careers and how they can be promoted, okay. So I think this is something I made wrong, that always expecting the excellent, okay, and of course I was like, my mind was like, okay, you will be promoted when you are excellent on that new position, on that promotion. What I didn't understand is that, okay, if I want him or her to be promoted, okay, she or he will never be good on this new position if they are not promoted, because at the end, they need to be good on this current position, okay. This is something I failed. Also, another thing I failed is that I had a lot of talks, group talks, okay, with all my team. But I had to spend more time with individual talks. This is something I changed from before and after, And it doesn't matter if it's a junior one, if it's a trainee, or because it makes you feel what's going on, and it makes you be more close to the reality of your team and what they are doing, and to know deeper the way they are working. Okay, because sometimes I was taking some decisions being far away from the actions, so.
And how often and how long were those talks? Was it once a week for 5 minutes? Or?
Once I was trying to have these weekly talks with my team, once per week, like with all the team.
And the individual
once
talks?
Per week, and the individual talks before the failure, not like, I would say 3-4 times per year.
Oh, so that was before, and then after, how many did you do?
I was trying to have individual talks once per week or once every 2 weeks, and then also
once every week. But you have 40 people on the team, so
with my direct reports, which were 8 people. Okay, I was having every week I was spending time with them every week, 1, 2, 3 times. With the rest of the team, I was trying to be in touch with them once per week, once every 2 weeks. I changed the way I was working. Like I was spending most of my time start to be spending with my team. Like instead of being in my computer, I was, with them. That's that's the main change I did, and I just be myself. I was being myself, even though I was younger to them. And I started going and have some drinks with them. I started having beers with them. When someone of the team was leaving the team, or it was his birthday or her birthday, they were organizing beers, and I started joining them. And they started knowing me, which was something new for me, but I just opened myself, and I was one of them.
At one point you mentioned like direct reports, so that means you had team leaders in place, right?
Yes.
So how many team leaders did you have for 40 people, and how were the teams structured?
I had the point, that's another mistake I did, that I organized a team but for example, for the planning team, I had finally I had 5 people for planning. 6 people for planning. So I had 6 people for planning that were reporting to me, direct to me. Then I had Josefina, who was the manager of all the merchandisers. Okay, so, and she was reporting also to me. And then I had a location team. There was one head reporting to me, and then we had the reporting team also reporting to me. So in total we had 6 and 3, 9 direct reports to me. That's something I learned, that because I was trying to organize the team with as less people as possible, but sometimes it's better to have less reports and more seniority on those middle management reports. Okay, instead of, because I spent 3 years saying no, I don't need a manager for planning, because I don't want to put one more person. Okay, manager for planning, they will report to me. But what happened is that I end up being very far away from them, because I had a lot of issues with sales, daily sales with the market and this. So something I learned is that it's very important to organize a team in terms of not trying to be as less people as possible just because you want to save cost or whatever. What's the best structure, and this middle management has to be very strong, and those are key, to manage the team. So actually, when I left the company, I told the CEO, my boss, this is my proposal of how I would organize my team, and it was pretty different. Okay, instead of having one manager for all the merchandisers, 2 different managers for all the merchandisers, 1 per brand. Then 1 manager for planning, which I didn't have. it was I spent time to reorganize everything and how I would do it and how I would organize everything. So that's something I would do.
So you pretty much learned the value of a mid-level manager then, and that.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
It's very
and how
interesting.
important is, if you wanna attract key players or like huge talents, you need to create an environment with high profiles. You need to hire another high profiles, and you need to it's if you want to have, for example, I was always thinking on football, but if you want a Messi to stay at Barcelona, you need to create an amazing team surrounding him. So if you wanna have an amazing team, you need to have an amazing team of managers. Not just with one amazing managers. If you don't surround him, with an amazing team, and then also something I learned, and for me it's key, is that the culture of the team, it's gonna make a difference. So it's very important to keep the same culture with all the members of the team. Means that for us in Mango, for example, nowadays in Mango, you see all the team and they have a lot of things in common. They are responsible. They have a lot of passion. They are very social. They're very open-minded. They have some attributes in common that makes that culture that match with your culture, and makes the flow happen successfully. I don't know. I think it is key, because the culture of the companies, for me, it's one of the things that you have to take very, very, very serious. Because if you, for example, in Argentina, we felt that we were losing our culture in the company, and we had to stop everything, reoriented, because as it was a family company, the culture was very, 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 very in the field, So everybody was so passionate, was so responsible, was feeling the company as as my company. They were acting like that. But as the company was started growing, we felt that we were losing those culture. So we stopped everything, and we reorganized things, because we didn't want to lose the culture, because that was making the difference, and so that's something I learned about. Yeah.
So then obviously you go from Argentina to Mango back, but this time they're restructuring, because I think they kind of also learned that the culture was important. So how does that process go of you coming back to Mango after experiencing such a culture shift? How is the culture different now at Mango, and what were you doing?
When I came back to Mango, that was 3 years after leaving Mango. So I found a company completely different, and I found a company willing to be another company. Like I found a Mango with a lot of effort on changing things, improving things, being more efficient.
But why was the leadership different, or what happened?
The leadership was changing. Actually, I started in July 2018, and 2 months later, the president and the founder of Mango I would say, just left the organigram, the structure, and they put. And he put a new CEO. Okay, he moved out from the president moved out from the structure, and the CFO of the company started to be the new CEO. Okay, so the leader was a new leader, and the president sent the message that he was leaving the company. Of course, he was of course the owner, but he was leaving the daily tasks of the company, and the company was in the hands of the new CEO. Okay, and the company sent a message of, we need to be more digital, we need to focus on our profit, we need to be more flexible, and we need to change, we need to be more efficient. But the first thing we started to feel that things were changing because the organization of the company changed. Okay, like the teams started working more together instead of being that much separate. The company started investing a lot of money on the digitalization in terms of the tools that we are using, the IT, you know. So the company had a new IT director, which is he's a huge guy. I mean, he's very, very good. So all the companies started to moving also in the same direction to this new Mango that we wanted to be like, this new Mango in terms of being focused on the profit, focused on the digitalization, focused on to be more flexible, you know. So it started to happen that I found a company not like very, very different, but yes, with you know, they were wanted to be very different, and with this new leader and these new things that were started coming in.
Why did the initial president leave? What was the reason?
Well, he's almost 65, and he felt that the company needed a new leadership. Okay, and I have to say that the CFO Tony used to be the CFO, now the CEO.
Yeah.
He's very prepared, and he's an amazing guy, and I think he's the right guy because the company had lost for 3 years in a row till 2015 till 2018. So we need a change. We need to change. We need to evolve, you know, in order to come back to the profit. No, move back to the profit again. So
what were you doing? So you came back, and then what were you doing? Because now I think you also got a more senior position coming back. And what were the first things you started doing?
So when they called me, okay, they told me, we have a project for you regarding the wholesale department. Okay, this wholesale department used to be a very small department in the company, but as it's a very as it has a very positive impact for the company, it started to grow, and we had a lot of expansion on those markets. Okay, and they realized that we need to be more professional, and instead of, it used to be a department very good on the service with the partners, but the department was not leading their business. You know what I mean? Was supporting on the buyings, was presenting the collection, very good on that. But once the department was selling the collection, nobody cares about their sales, you know, how they were selling, if they can sell better or whatever. No, so Mango realized that we need to cover all the process, not just the buying in terms of the partners that were coming to Mango and buying the collection, also the way they were selling. So we need to cover the whole process, okay? And we need to feel responsible of their profit and of their business in order to create long-term relationships and in order to expand also their business. And if we work on that way, we will also grow our business here in Mango. So that's the project we started 2 years ago when I arrived. They reorganized the whole team. My position is new, you know, and we spread the team. The sales team, my product managers team are spread by markets. So we have the African market, we have the American market, we have the European, Middle East, and the first thing we did is, okay, we need to act as we are the franchises. Okay, we need to act as we are the franchisees, and we need to be on their shoes. First of all, on the buying, okay, and second of all, on the read and react culture, following up their sales to the final customer. Okay, so if I'm focused and I'm oriented on proposing to them the best assortment for their market, okay, it's and of course they will. It's like I'm proposing to them that assortment. Of course they have more knowledge than I do, okay, and they will change few things, but it's completely different than if they come to the showroom, if they come to Mango and they have to start the selection and the assortment from zero, okay, and they don't have the information, that the data that we have from their sales. They don't have the information that we have from Mango sales from all around the world. We have the information of the designers, we have the trend information, so we have a lot of information. If we mix all this knowledge with the right tools, with their market knowledge, and this. Also, we started traveling. I mean, I'm traveling worldwide, but I think so we changed the tools, we improved the profiles in order to be more in charge of the business. We feel responsible not only of Mango's profit, also for franchise profit. So that's been a process. I would say that how we are today, it's completely different how we were 1 year ago, even not 2 years ago, 1 year ago. And also I have to say that this coronavirus crisis, when it started, I mean, we were in a very good position in order to change the forecast, change all the strategies, and create these new strategies. Yeah, that's true, of course, no, because we knew perfectly the markets. We knew we had everything clear. You know, we've worked that more proficient than we used to do. That's for sure.
So pretty much your position coming back to Mango almost made Mango ready for this like if you didn't start back then, it gave you a couple of years to pretty much prep and get ready for something like this. Just because you have more data now to play with, you're more in touch with the franchisees and everything. If you didn't come back and didn't, like, if this step wasn't taken back then when the president left, then Mango would have been even worse off right now.
Well, nobody knows, but I think the president decided that because they had a vision and they consider that the company needs a change. I think he did an amazing job along the 3 years before, from 2015, because the company lost a little bit the DNA, and he was very focused on recovering the DNA of the company, which for us has been key. But I guess he realized that the company needs another leadership, maybe with another profile, I don't know. And he is also 65, so I don't know. He felt maybe
how's it like working now at Mango? Can you listen to music?
Yeah. And for example, that's it sounds funny, but it's about the culture and people are used to that. But since last year, we have a flexible timing to arrive to the office and leaving to the office. Means that, like, since 1 year ago, we had to arrive at the office at 9. The timings were from 9 to 6:30. Okay, but since 1 year ago, you can arrive from 8 to 9:30, and you can leave from 5 to 6:30 or 7. I don't remember. Yeah. So this something it changed, and it was a big change for the company, you know. And then when the coronavirus crisis started, the company was already testing the home office. So when the coronavirus started, we were already implementing the home office. So we had the technology to work from home.
What technology are you using right now for the?
We are using a VPN, the Global Protect. I think its name Global Protect, something like this. It's a VPN where you can connect to the system of the company.
Okay, and how do you communicate? Do you use Slack or
we use Teams? We use Teams.
Teams, okay. How's your experience been with Microsoft?
Very good. I mean, it was funny because 2 months before coronavirus, company started sending a lot of emails like, we have to use more Teams, we have to communicate, because part of our team, our operation team, our retail team is traveling around, and they are our eyes in the market, no? So, you know, so we had a lot of potential by using Teams with them because they were traveling, and in order to have better communication with them and to have calls with them, as well as with our partners, of course, no? But so we had the chance to improve the way we were communicating with them, no? So in January or something like this, in December, the company was pushing us to use Teams more. Here you have, and they started with training programs with about Teams, how to use Teams, what kind of things you can do with Teams, blah blah blah. So once the crisis started, I think we had done the homework before, because we had the technology, we had the Teams already. Teams was already in the company. And so it's not been something new for us, no? So
how do you chat together? Like, what is do you use is Microsoft Teams, does it also have chats and everything?
Yes, we have chats, individual chats, group chats. We have
okay.
Yeah.
So everything.
And we are
Microsoft.
doing also the calls with the partners through Teams. So, and we have Teams in our phone, we have Teams in our iPad or in our laptop. So we're using Teams for everything.
Yeah, we use Slack. That's why I'm asking, and we use Zoom as well, obviously.
Yeah. So and now everything changed. Everything changed because we've been working from home for the last 2 months and a half, and we changed the way we're working. We changed completely the way we work. We changed the way we communicate. We had to change. Most probably, we were used to work with long-term goals, no? Saying like, okay, the goal for this season goal. Nowadays, we are working with a monthly goal, like short-term goal. The communication has to be, I don't know if to say, it has to be daily communication. We have daily communication, to be clear and to be focused on for this week we have these 3 topics where we have to be focused on, okay? And then you start the week like this, you do the follow-up, and at the end of the week so I feel like, and I don't know, all the team are very happy with that, the way we are working. They are very motivated. It's also true that working from home is pushing you to be more to be more to be more independent. It's like you don't have your boss there, so you are more autonomous,
Autonomous,
so you need to be responsible. So those soft skills that we were before the crisis, we were saying no, that's those soft skills, like being responsible, having passion, being trustable. I think even are more important now than before, because at the end, but no, exciting.
How has it affected the productivity of your team and maybe also communication? Like, do you feel it went down? No. I think it went up, actually. Really? Why?
I think it went because I think we are now better organized. Okay, for example, if we came back to the office now, there are some ways of working that we have implemented now. I would keep doing it, like these short-term goals that we are now following up, that we are I'm putting to team, this way of organization that we have, and these communication flows that we have now. I would keep them, I think that are very useful. I know now all meetings are starting like on time, like all meetings are starting on time. It used to be like that at the office. Those things, I don't know. I feel we are more efficient now on this.
How do you feel if you go back to the office as things are reopening up and like it'll kind of go back to normal? How is it going to change that effectivity? Like, will you implement half days at working at home, or like will you implement working at home on a more
we have not decided yet, so there's no final decision, but I feel we will have an hybrid, like a mixed home office and working at the office. Actually, since last week we started to go at the office. At least my team, we started to go to the office one morning per week. Like Wednesday morning, we spend the morning at the office. We work together, and it's also very useful because I'm focused on having the best of working at the office and focused on having the best from working from home. I think if we can mix the two ways together, we can have an amazing life quality, life balance, huge productivity, blah 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 blah. So, and also each team has to adapt, no?
What are the benefits for you working at the office that you really only get at the office?
Well, it's true that, for example, for the new process that we are implementing, like new ways of working or new things that we are doing now, okay, when as we have a team spread on countries or geographical areas, no, we have the responsible for Africa, responsible for Europe, North Europe, blah blah blah. So as we are starting with new tools in order to create a buying proposal, analyzing sales on this, by being together in the same table, it's easy to, for example, one person has adapt, one person has a proposal of improvement proposal or something like this. It's more efficient to be at the same table, and maybe in 1 hour, 2 hours, you've jumped, from one point to another one. There's something, for example, I felt, and also, I don't know, but my team loves to be in touch with the team, loves to spend time with the team. So it has also a psychological impact. But that depends on the people, it depends on the teams, depends on everything. I think it's also, you have to adjust. I mean, each team, each department, each wherever has to be adjusted to their reality and their needs and the way they work and so ever.
Being in the director position before the Corona crisis, were you flying to all the franchisees, or does somebody from your staff do that?
I was flying with my staff, so I try to fly always with my staff.
How is that going to change now after the Corona crisis?
That's a question. Well, for example, first thing it's changing is that we used to have physical showrooms in Barcelona where all the franchisees were coming. So something we are working on is on a virtual showroom, okay? So something that I feel that this coronavirus crisis, I don't feel it's creating a new world. I feel that it's accelerating new trends that were already here, but maybe the companies were not betting or were afraid to do that, like home office, like e-commerce, like all these things. So I feel those things are accelerating. For example, we used to have we have a B2B e-commerce, okay? Through we sell the collection and our franchises are buying the collection. So we had already franchises that were not coming to Barcelona in all the showrooms, maybe just twice per year or once per year, so they were using the online tool a lot. So we already invest a lot of times and invest a lot of money to improve that tool. Okay, so what we have to do now is to improve it a little bit more, because most probably the franchisees will not come to Barcelona, at least for this year, most probably. Huh?
Yeah.
So this is something it's changing. And regarding the trips, I mean, it's true that what has changed a lot is the relationship with our franchise in terms of virtual relationship.
Right.
Before of this crisis, we were not very used to have weekly calls or like monthly calls. We started with that, okay, but I would say that those calls were cold, no, because it depends on the franchisee if they have the culture of they have the tool, or nobody knew what was Zoom before the crisis. I'm saying that I'm sure like most of the people, most of the people who are using Zoom now, they didn't know what was Zoom before the crisis, or Hangout, or Meet, or even Teams, Yeah. So that has changed completely the way they're communicating, and both sides, because sometimes we're trying to have a call with the franchisees, but we were using WhatsApp, and it was like kind of weird, it was cold. But nowadays we are using Teams. We're sharing the screen. We're sharing the results. We're presenting a model. Everything. It's like easier on that side, no? So I feel that we will continue traveling to the countries, of course, but that value that we were getting from the visit in terms of relationship, in terms of engaging with and having the closer relationship with the partner, we will not get it. We will not get it from the trip, because we have already got it from the calls, from this new relationship, this closer relationship that we have created with them. No, so we will travel, but with a very, very focused oriented, very goals oriented. Like very. We have this, and this, and this, and we really have to go there.
So do you think you will travel less?
Most probably a bit less. I think a bit less. I will travel. I think so. But I mean, I was traveling a lot, but because we have a lot of markets. So, for example, one of our main markets is Chile. But I was traveling to Chile once per year. So each country I was visiting it like not very often, like once per year, once every 2 years. So I was traveling a lot, but to different markets. What I think it will change is about traveling just to have a meeting. That would change for sure. And also it will change to travel to the same country again and again and again and again and again, So it depends, it depends the way you work, the value that creates you traveling. But I think the first thing it will change is that traveling just for a business meeting, that would for sure, I think will be removed. No, that's what I think so.
And so, how many stores do you guys have in the Netherlands? Do you know that?
Yeah, we have around. I think we have 25 stores, something like this. We have women, kids, and man in Netherlands.
So,
yeah.
So you travel a lot here.
No, I'm not. I mean, the Netherlands stores are corporate stores, so I'm not managing them.
Oh, okay. Oh, they're from Mango themselves. They're not franchisees.
Exactly. So, but it's funny because in Netherlands, when this crisis started and the lockdown started, Netherlands was one of the markets that when the stores reopened, the sales went back to normal figures faster.
Really?
Yeah.
Because when did the stores reopen? That was a week ago.
It was before. I would say 3 weeks, something like this. It was more or less like Germany. In terms of timing, it was more or less like Germany. So it was beginning of May or something like this. So once the stores reopened, the sales went back to the normal figures like very fast.
Yeah. But I think it's also partially how the government took care of the people. I mean, it wasn't completely perfect, but they made sure that if businesses took a loan from the government or got support, that they wouldn't fire people. And I think that had a really big change. I read somewhere that if you adapt the American model, where you literally just give the money to the people, whereas you do what the Netherlands did, and I think Germany did that as well, I'm not sure.
Exactly.
Where you go to the businesses and you you say 80% will pay, but you have to guarantee that you do not fire people. It seemed to work a little bit better, I think. Well, we'll see obviously after Corona crisis, but
yeah, nobody knows. But yeah, I think so. I agree with you. Totally.
Super interesting story. We're kind of already naturally wrapping up with that as well. I think one of the questions that I always ask, and it's one of the audience requested ones, is what are the biggest learning lessons now that everything is laid out? Like if you look back at kind of everything that you did from the internship to, the second time at Mango now, like the biggest learning lessons that you would give to our audiences?
For me, the biggest learnings, it's first learning is you will make a lot of mistakes, but you have to make them as fast as you can. So like if you're gonna make mistakes, you will make them for sure, but it's better to make them fast. It's like, another learning is leadership. For me is key. Leadership, and it has to be a natural leadership. It's also key. Soft skills for me are key today and tomorrow. I think soft skills is something that you cannot buy, you cannot develop, and it's something that, if they know Excel, or if they know Excel, or they know how to manage Excel or not, you can teach them. But if they are passionate, if you can trust them, if you can, if they act as the company, as an owner of the company, those things, and also makes the culture, which is another key variable, I think, on success. I think also culture is key, and something that has helped me a lot is on being very flexible, and I've been able to adapt very easily to everything. No, for example, I left to Buenos Aires and Argentina it's a country with a very difficult and very tough economical situation. It's a very complicated country in those terms, and even the company hired 2 directors coming from Zara, which most probably they were the design directors, which most probably they were much better than I was, and they had a huge experience, in their shoulders, and they were, but they couldn't manage the situation of living in a country like Argentina. They couldn't match with the culture of the company, and they didn't work, and most probably, and I'm 100% sure that they had more talent than I had. They had more experience. They were amazing profiles, but they didn't know how to adapt. They were not flexible enough, most probably, so they failed. So that's something, and especially on those days where nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. Nobody thought that Trump was going to win. Nobody thought that Brexit is going to happen. Nobody thought that COVID and coronavirus was coming and was going to happen, something like this. So being flexible and being able to adapt, I think it's gold for companies.
Right. I love those lessons. And then last question that I'm always interested in is, do you read any books currently, or are there any big books that you would definitely recommend people read?
Yeah, I'm reading a book. I know in Spanish it's a book named. I'm reading a lot of articles. That's for sure. I'm reading because I did a master last year, sponsored by Mango in here in IESE. It's a PDD, I'm like a special of MBA and this. So I had a lot of business cases on this. But I'm reading a book which I don't remember the name right now, and I have it in Spanish. I will send it to you. It's about excellent companies compared with the good companies. Like for the last 40 years, those companies that had gained a value in the market above of the average of the market. So, and what things they have in common, like leadership, they have a lot of things in common, and that book talks about that.
Is there an English version of that book?
Yeah, it's Jim Collins, I think. It's a Jim Collins book.
Okay, cool. I'll check it out. Yeah, definitely send it so we can put it into the podcast notes.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for being on. And I think with that, we're kind of wrapping it up then. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you liked this episode, you can check out our most recent one here. And if you haven't already, make sure you click here to subscribe and see the next one. But if you're interested in more tips and tricks, then make sure to join our Facebook group where you can find thousands of like-minded people and you get direct access and support to any business question from the entire startup funding event team.